Hello and welcome to the Survivor Maryland Generations, Episode 6, live after show. I'm your host, Anders. And with me, as always, my co host, Erin. Erin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, feeling great. Excited. This has been an insane season. This was an insane episode, and I'm very excited to talk about it.
We have joining us all the way from Survivor Michigan, but not in Michigan, Cooper. Cooper, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the season?
I'm feeling great about this season. I'm very happy that I got picked to come on for this episode. I think it's a fun one to talk about. And I think the season in general has been so entertaining. I think you have some of the top characters maybe in all of College Survivor on this. I would be willing to say that one character on this season is maybe my favorite all-time College Survivor character. So it's been a fantastic season.
I know you're sad that Ella left, but she will be memorialized, I'm sure. And then Ethan of Scotty Survivor. Speak of, or I guess for you guys it's right because you guys are a dog.
Whatever the Scotty dog makes, but yeah.
What are your thoughts on the season, Ethan?
Oh, it's such a kooky cast. I think I'm so confused by it, but I think they're also really confused by it, and that's what makes it fun, because half the time I watch this and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing, but I don't think they know what they're doing either. And it's the gift that keeps on giving. And I do love the Love Island elements of it.
And we will get into it. It shocks me every episode, but it keeps giving. Now, we can talk about the episode, but first we've got to bring on a special guest. Now, spoilers if you haven't watched the episode. I don't know why you wouldn't have watched the episode before watching this, but just in case. Our recently departed but never forgotten Queen Daniela is here. Daniela, how are you?
Oh, doing well. Very excited watching that.
Here, you're going to get the spotlight. Daniela, let me be the first to say, I was absolutely gobsmacked to know that you left this episode. It made me just truly go, what? Why would they take her out now? Don't get me wrong. There were a lot of episodes where getting rid of you was like, sure. This one? Over CJ? I don't know about that. Yes, the fans love you. Daniela, so watching this episode, seeing your boot, was there anything surprising about it? How are you feeling? Does seeing this just make you go, yeah, okay, I remember the feelings, and it doesn't make any more sense than it did then?
Absolutely. I remember feeling more.
Wow, incredible audio. Daniela, now I know you're talking on your phone. Is there any way to talk in your phone more?
Oh, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
That's much better.
Audio?
Yes.
Not better. Okay. No, I was just saying that evening specifically, I definitely felt more anxious. So I remember feeling like things for some reason were unsettling, despite it making no sense as to why it needed to be. Looking back, I am as confused as I was back then. I was shocked at the time because it didn't make as logical sense. I thought that everyone felt comfortable with me, safe enough with me. My name had gone away for enough time. So I remember looking back like, okay, I guess it was a move to just have had a move, but did it really achieve anything that great? But I guess it did for those that needed it to for that time.
No, it didn't make any sense. Now, I do have a question. Going all the way back, Daniela, you obviously played season 6, and you played season 10 very briefly. We're not talking too much about that. But with season 6, the twist of the beginning of that season is Tony, who was voted out, got to choose tribes. You come in this season, you get to choose your tribe. I don't want to insult you by saying that you were similar to Tony in making decisions, but can you sort of describe why you started making your tribe based off of who had a beard and who seemed nice?
Yes, I think a lot of my strategy is based off of the perception others have of me. And I think the more I play up my cutesy kind of like nonsensical, just wild card energy, then people think that I'm not as scary or calculated. And so I think I just wanted to come off that exact way, just kooky and unpredictable. And so, you can just go shrug. That's just Daniela. We don't have to worry about her. She's not like going to be making insane moves. And so I purposely just wanted to come off non-dangerous.
Great. This is a great transition because the first thing you did after Tribal, where it didn't go your way, was go, now who the fuck flipped? Who do I need to get in the face of? I've got to ask there, obviously I understand trying to play down your threat. Can you explain why you were not doing that at Tribal and why you were so mad when you, and not to be insulting, only talked to half the tribe?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of times that my fear of feeling on the outside kind of overwhelmed me, and I felt just immediately terrified for not knowing what happened. And I think I didn't really have a calculated reason as to why I made that reaction. I think I was hopeful to be able to recover after even making such a scene. And I think I kind of did. Obviously, many times this season, I think I painted unnecessary targets on my back out of just feeling out of control over everyone else. But I think that definitely came just from a place of fear rather than good strategy.
Now, I will give you props. I think the moments when you were really trying, you did great work. I mean, the whole Sammy vote, you really turned it off of you. Where if you saw, like, it almost was you, like several times, but you did create that great bond with Sean, and I think we're able to be just stable enough that people trust you over Sammy. Which, by the way, it's even insulting that was a question, but I guess I've got to ask, going into the season with all of the baggage of All Stars 2 and sort of knowing that you had a lot of experience and you wanted to do well, what was your strategy? Like, what was the reason that you played the way you did or only talked to certain people compared to, I think, Pascal, who played a much more involved role with everything?
Yeah, I think I immediately felt a target on my back, obviously, for being a returnee, and that made me feel othered than everyone else that was new. And so I thought the way to gain trust was thrusting my trust onto other people. So if I just fixated on people that I thought, again, perceived me as like, oh, the sweet little Daniela, like, like as Sean did many times, like, oh, I just feel bad voting for her. I just like feel bad, going against her. Courtney many times was feeling like bad voting against my knowledge. Then I could just kind of bank on their sympathy in that kind of way or their pity, and not, again, seeing me as a threat. And a lot of ways that just meant my game was more passive. It was me reactionary to the other players making their own decisions, their own strategies, rather than more aggressive and more assertive with a direct plan of attack or a direct, through line to an end game.
I also want to know, you, as the swap came around, were really pushing Cassava strong. And to me, that didn't make sense because you had just come off of a tribal where you were the other name. Mm-hmm. And I mean, again, you had to talk to Ella. I don't know how anyone can talk to her and go, I need to work with her long term. Can you sort of describe what was real about that? Was that an actual thing you wanted, or is that to lower your threat level? What was the reason?
I think that I truly did not take Ella's saying my name as dangerous as it was. I think it was, in my mind, just one girl in a tribe that I felt I was more, strong with everybody else. And so I think I still hinged on the fact that, I mean, she did go home. People didn't really take her that seriously. So I felt, even though my name had been out there, it added, if anything, again, Cassava folks wouldn't make me see, like, I wouldn't come off as a threat to them. And so, again, I was situated in my mind higher up in that group of folks that I knew, rather than a tribe I didn't really make relationships with. I didn't really talk to Kate all that much. I really was just relying on my relationship with Pascal and DJ. And so I think I was, again, more over trusting in the relationships I had formed rather than forming new ones with new folks.
You know, Daniela, when I think of your game, it's funny. The first time I ever met Erin was a game that you and I played with her and Cooper. And we don't need to relive this at all, Erin, but we can, of course, talk about that. Daniela and I made it to Final 3 with you. And then it tied, and all the votes for Daniela came to me, and I beat Erin, just to remind everyone.
We didn't need to relive it, though.
I think
right?
it's important. Daniela, in that game, and this is just, I think, who you are as a player, you were overly honest. And I think it caused a lot of problems with people who, similar to Kate in this episode, you would be honest with them, like, yeah, no, I don't trust you, and I'm going to vote you out. And they went, great, so I actually want to get rid of Daniela. But on the flip side, it made other people feel very confident when you told them, I want to work with you. Like, I'm very serious, I'm very loyal. And I think we saw that with Sean, who, by all standards, absolutely trusted you after, I think, doubting you for a long time. What do you think, looking back, you could have done to better yourself in the game? Like, whether it's at the swap, whether it's at the beginning, is there anything you look back and say, I'm not changing who I am, but I should have done this instead?
I think you're hitting on the nose, something that's very honest to me as a person and in my gameplay of not being the most tactful with my kind of choices. I think I like to just sometimes, for lack of a better word, like throw paint on the wall and go, what sticks? And I just kind of follow that path of what comes. I think if I was to go back and change anything, I think it would have been honestly capitalizing after noticing Andy take advantage of CJ and Kate's kind of fear and just looking for folks to trust, capitalizing on that as well. I think I was threatened by him thinking that he was already winning the game of taking their trust, that I didn't have an opportunity to go for it. But looking back, I think I would have just talked game more to people. I think I was, again, focused on not appearing scary. So I was not trying to come off like I was overplaying or thinking things too seriously. But I definitely regret not showing people the long-term value I had for them and what I could have done, with my connections with other people, or pushed how others were more of a threat than I was. I think I just became a very easy person that people could just throw out there because I wasn't really making serious connections.
Does anyone on the panel have a question before I ask my final one?
Yeah, the coin flip situation. Did you, how did that not just immediately put up red flags for you? That my alliance isn't actually willing to talk through things or doesn't want to talk through things with me. This is, no, you're not sitting there being like, oh yeah, Andy is going to leave this up to a coin flip.
Yeah, no, that was I think, and you saw, I think the drinking that was just occurring in the episode, I think you, from me that I was just nervous. I could tell there was something off. Why haven't we already made the decision? Why is it so last minute? Why are we still talking about it? Why is this feeling shifty and there's less eye contact? There's less assurances happening. I think I still kind of went back to, I felt out of control and not as strong in my connection, honestly, with Kate to make anything happen. I think I felt like Sean was also acting out of fear and self-preservation. And I kind of just had to rely on what I was going in believing. I don't think I felt I had enough time to flip things because the relationships with CJ were iffy. I just willingly, openly said I would go vote for him. If he found that out, he would be angry with me. I didn't talk to Kate ever. And Sean was just scared. So I didn't feel like
No, you did talk to Kate.
Oh, yeah, but but not building a bridge. I was more like, hey,
certainly
non-existent. There's no use. Yeah, it was a very looking back again, too honest, too I think I kind of just wanted easy decisions. And in my head, I was like, this is just easy. Let's just make it happen rather than worrying that others would would do something different, and I needed to be ahead of that and jump the gun, and rather than just wait and see if maybe something happened.
We have this question from the audience. I think this is a good one. What did you think of Andy? Like, I think Andy is an enigmatic player in the sense that, like, he's doing a lot, but he's also very charismatic. And, like, he had that whole thing where he wanted to protect you because you were a big shield for him, which I think is true, which, again, doesn't make any sense why he would get rid of you here. Anyways, what did you think of Andy?
I thought Andy was, again, kind of too focused on making moves rather than taking the win when it was there. I think, again, a big reason I was shocked was it didn't really make sense. There wasn't a reason. I kept thinking in my head, he is actually in a very good position. Has all these people that really care about him, tell him all this information, want to include him on decision making. So there's no reason for him to make a move because he's sitting pretty. And so thinking back about him and looking and watching it just feels like he wants to be like the move maker. He wants to be the top dog. He wants to come off like he, wants to show Sean that he is the villain and he has the powers, and he calls himself the puppet master over and over again. And so I think it is a little bit of an ego where he just wants to feel like he can do stuff if he just randomly decides to, even if it doesn't help him. And so I think that was his demise in the end as well, was just take a good thing when you have it. You focus on other people. Don't focus on the ones that are your shield.
Do we have any other questions, or should I ask my final?
I have a question. Were you surprised by Courtney at all voting for you? Because she kept consistently saying, like, I don't want to go against Daniela. Do you think that was out of fear, or do you think that was out of more loyalty to you?
I think initially, if anything, it felt similar to how maybe Andy saw me. I think she did like me to a degree, but also saw me as an easy person just voting with her. And she was the one feeding me information, so she knew I trusted her. And so I think when she started to form a deeper relationship with Kate, she felt like she didn't need that connection. I think she was able to form bonds, with Lily, now across on the other tribe, and now with Kate, who had their own connections. Kate maybe can in her mind combine with CJ. That's two folks that she can like kind of sway. So I think I just started to lose value in what I could bring, or what I could bring could be replaced by other folks, that she didn't need me anymore. So I think looking back, it wasn't surprising. She at that point was also feeling very strong in that she could lose me as a help or an ad.
Yeah. My final question to you, Daniela. All season long, we've been seeing Survivor Maryland, Love Island, some real messy relationship drama. My question sort of two phases. One is, where were you in all of this? And number two, what are your thoughts on all of this? I mean, relationships and Survivor, I feel like, are a messy thing to try and mix with. You were there. What was it like to live through it?
To be honest, I just remember my first season, there was too much of that it just made things so messy. And you see it on the screen, like Andy and Chloe have this back and forth where Andy's truly like, is this game? Is this not game? Like, why would she say that? And I don't think Chloe meant anything more than, she's a girl in college, and yet he's here like, this is game. She's trying to do something with the gameplay. So I personally, this season, felt very out of it. I think that actually added to why I felt on the outside, was I wasn't trying to participate in the personal drama. I wasn't hanging out with folks one-on-one for fun. Other than maybe Courtney occasionally, or Andy and Courtney. So I think I was honestly, if anything, just waiting on the sidelines with some popcorn, waiting for it to blow up in flames, because I just knew that it's bound to happen. We're in college, emotions are high, we're not making the best logical decisions, and things are going to get messy, and that's sometimes fun to watch, not fun to be a part of. So I chose to stay out of it.
And probably for the best, honestly. I cannot imagine it adding to your game. Well, Daniela, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. You will be sorely missed on this season, but at least you outlasted Ella. Truly the least anyone can ask for. I feel no greater empathy than for the people who didn't. Well, any final thoughts before you leave our screens for now?
No, just really excited to have this season coming out. Folks I know are talking and reconnecting, and I think it just brings back so much nostalgia and so many good memories. A lot of crazy ones, and I think we're all being like a little confused of who we are then versus who we are now. But I think it's fun to relive, fun to look back, and I'm just excited to keep watching as the season unfolds.
Amazing. Well, Daniela, have a wonderful night, and just remember, they made the wrong choice.
Thank you. Validation. Thank you all for having me. Have a good night.
Bye, Daniela. All right, now that she's gone, we can finally talk about the fucking episode. So, I mean, we've already talked about a bunch of the ending of this episode didn't make any sense. But before we really get into Cassava, let's talk about Kiyoshi, which I felt like was a really interesting delve into. It seems like a very simple dynamic, and yet I don't know how clear-cut it is. I think the whole Alejandro of it all is still there. Like, we got some perspective that, like, Jenny wants to keep him around kind of like a jester, and that he isn't really a threat. And of course, he sees it as like, why would I need to talk to them? We're just going to vote them out. But Donovan has his advantage, which I thought was an interesting choice. Lily obviously is trying to make inroads with Taylor. Taylor is aware of her position. What are our takes on Kiyoshi, on what's going on there?
I have to ask, was Lily Alejandro's first one-on-one meeting? Like, truly, he didn't call her to, like, set up her and a bunch of other people. She wanted to talk to him, and he was like, oh, she wants to make an alliance, because obviously that's what meeting up means. But I think that's his first one-on-one meeting, which I really appreciate, and I think was fantastic.
It shows him and Pascal sometimes. I feel like Pascal may have had one.
But did that come before or after? That's the question.
We'll never know.
I cannot imagine that one-on-one produced anything of, like, very good. I cannot imagine it's worthwhile to even show what they were talking about.
I mean, the Pascal and him one, or the him and Lily one?
No, the Pascal one.
Yeah. I mean, I was dead at the him and Lily one where he was just like, well, yeah, we're just going to vote you out. He's truly so funny. Because he's so out of this season in a way that nobody else here is. Like, he's just at the challenge talking about Woodstock and his music festivals coming up. And I'm with Jenny, honestly. I think Jenny is Alejandro's #1 fan, which I think is fantastic. And I'm glad that she's there for him.
I think Alejandro is just chilling on this tribe. I think as much as it's like they're trying to make it seem like, oh, maybe they're making some inroads, like, truly, you do have a lot of the core Kiyoshi on this tribe, especially in those 4 of like Alejandro, Chloe, Pascal, and Jenny. And I just think those 4 on the tribe of 7, like, that's just it. I don't see them wanting to do anything else. I think Taylor will just fall into line. I think she will maybe float Alejandro if they go to tribal, but like, I don't think she's going to be able to do anything about it. So sadly, I think it is cut and dry, but I think those 3 that I would consider on the outs of like Taylor, Donovan, and Lily, like, are doing what they can at this point. One, trying to push Alejandro, the easy name. And I think you have them connecting and at least realizing, hey, we at least know we're on the bottom. And the first step is like at least being self-aware. Like, that is always step 1. So I think they're there, but the question is, can they actually do anything about it?
Yeah, Taylor's the person I feel like I've been watching the most on this tribe, because I think consistently she's been the one who's shown a lot about thinking about the future and looking at, like, what do I need to do a couple steps of the way. She's just had really bad allies like Chloe and the whole phone call and all of that. So I really want to see how she's going to navigate and if she's able to kind of just make it through this phase, because if she gets to merge, I think she's going to get into a really good position if she's able to link up with this like Sean-Kate alliance that ends up going forward. But she seems very self-aware of where she's at, and I like that level of awareness.
I think great things came out of that Taylor and Lily meeting. I think that was like those, like the two freshman girls linking up and like pretty much exposing all of their information, I think was fantastic for them. Obviously not great for some other people. Like Chloe caught a whole lot of heat this episode. There was a Chloe hate trade happening this episode, and I wanted to get off expeditiously because that was unacceptable. But I think that those two linking up and sharing their information is their key to survival. And obviously Donovan having this extra vote helps. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm like having another advantage in that challenge of like anybody who grabbed an envelope was getting something, I guess. And he got $1 and an extra vote. Immediately told Daniela, which like, of course he did. I'm surprised he didn't tell the whole tribe, honestly. But I guess good for him. And I think it's good that he did make that relationship with Chloe. But I don't think, like, even Chloe was like, it's not strategic. Like, I like him as a person, but it's not, like, we didn't talk strategy at all. So I don't know how far it's going to get. And just watching how Donovan has played thus far, I don't see him initiating much or, like, trying to make much happen. But I think linking up with Lily and Taylor, they have the possibility of making something happen.
I think what's interesting about Kiyoshi to me is, as opposed to Kasaba, which I feel like is a lot more filled with people thinking of the future and trying to play much more dynamic and organically, Kiyoshi is filled with people who I think are just very comfortable in their position and not really interested in making those inroads. I think this is where we see the weakness to Pascal, which is he has something, he's going to stick with it. He's going to let it ride. And I do think that is a big weakness for him moving forward because, frankly, people are starting to go, I need to weaken Pascal. I need to go for him. And he only has so many allies. Even in this episode, even with the confusion of Daniela leaving, that is really his only inroad with the other tribe. Like, he has CJ, sure. He has Jenny. He has Chloe. And Alejandro. But that's really not, even if all of them make it to merge, that's not majority. I think that Pascal is in a very hard position and he's not doing a lot to get out of it. I think Chloe's doing a much better job at it. Obviously, we'll get to Chloe. But like Jenny and Alejandro are not really doing, and CJ are just not doing a whole lot to actually build bridges.
CJ hindered Pascal this episode by telling him not to talk to Sean, like by telling him not to reach out, because it's like he was sitting there being like, well, he wants me out because we're a duo and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, so they already see that. They're already voting you out. So let your duo put in some work for you because you're not doing anything, which, like, to his credit, CJ did end up doing something. But like for most of it, he did not. And he would not let anybody do anything for him either, which really pissed me off.
And also, not to dog on CJ, I think Pascal is a better speaker, convincer, and player than CJ. So to be like, no, please don't help me. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Baby, no, you won't.
Mm-mm.
Hey, baby, no, you won't. You're lucky that Andy is there.
You're lucky Andy's crazy. Yeah.
More like Andy S. The way he's just sort of absolutely, this is the most JS episode for Andy. Again, we'll get there, but like, what the fuck? Anyways. What are our thoughts on Kiyoshi, on that thought of where they stand? Cooper, you're making some faces.
Yeah, so I'm also feel like I'm glitching. Let me know if you can't hear me. But I will step in and defend Pascal and CJ for a second because I feel like they have just been very calm in a very chaotic season. Like they have kind of just done what they've needed to. They've built a majority, and Pascal has now fallen into majority on his swaps tribe. You can't really fault him for that. I do think they could be a little better at reaching out to people, but in this specific instance, I don't think Pascal talking to Sean for the first time right now is going to help the situation. What you want is for Pascal to, a couple weeks ago, have been talking to somebody, whether it be Sean or Andy or Courtney or whatever, and build that relationship then and be able to help CJ now. But I do think CJ had the right read that Pascal calling Sean out of the blue now to try to do something is only actually going to hurt him. Like, I don't think he's actually going to be able to help the situation there. I think they're in a very good spot come merge because that group of 5, honestly, is still very strong. And I just think the other people that are in the game are all pissed off at each other. They're not working together. And I don't see those other people coming together. And that Pascal group, to me, is still the core group that will take control at the merge for that reason. Even though they aren't doing a lot to reach out to everybody else, like, they haven't really needed to. Everything around them has just kind of imploded. And again, they haven't had a part in like making that happen. But like that's all they've needed to do at this point is just kind of sit there and be like, oh, everyone else is just going crazy this season. Like, sounds good. We just have our little group and we're just going to steamroll them. And if that's their plan as of now, hard to fault them. I think you could want them to be building more relationships outside of that. But like CJ has now survived 2 tribals in the minority over there, as has Kate. But like they've survived. They've found a way. It's not like CJ is playing a bad game. I actually think CJ is playing a pretty decent game.
I think we're. Oh, go ahead, Ethan.
No, I was saying like something I've been juxtaposing a lot is kind of the importance of cross-tribal communication and when is too much. And I think a lot of players don't really know that kind of balance there. And I kind of err with the sides of people like Jenny who are kind of just chilling a little bit, because I think if it's like Jenny on one side and then Chloe on the other side, like when that gets too messy and you have to pick a side and you're pissing people off, you're going to go to those stable people. But also I do think you need to kind of still like keep those bridges like alive in some form or fashion, like Sean keeping it with Lily and like having those connections. So it's interesting to see how that's going to kind of play out down the line and how it might get very messy for a lot of them.
I do think that Sean and Lily are probably playing the best cross-tribal game of like being able to make those relationships without being threatening others by it. I think we'll agree to disagree on this, Cooper, because I really do think that stagnation is a bad way to play this game when it is so open, because yes, they are stable, but Chloe is with them, and Chloe is not a let's just do what we're going to do player. She is a thinker. And I do think, unfortunately, when you're playing with people like Chloe and Andy, who are always thinking and interested in making big moves, you don't have the numbers you think you do. And sure, you've got people like Alejandro, CJ, and Jenny who are going to be stable, but you need those other numbers. And frankly, people, I do think this is true, even if they dislike each other, they're more willing to work together to make that big move to open the game up rather than go for each other and let the people doing nothing happen. I just think that volatility is not bad. I think it's complete comfort or refusal to engage that causes someone to lose this game.
The question for me is, will Pascal be able to like keep his chaotic people like Chloe like in line? Is going to be the question for me. Like when shit hits the fan, like is Pascal going to be like, Chloe, this is what we're doing? Because and Andy to a certain extent, because now you have Andy who's gone out of his way twice in a row now to basically save CJ on the hopes that he's going to work with Pascal, at least sort of how it was presented. So like, I think Pascal is going to have an opportunity to have numbers. I do believe that. It's a question of, can he like get all of his ducks in a row with all these chaotic people trying to do all the chaotic things that they've been trying to do all season. But, and I will agree with you. I think he is being more stagnant than he should, 100%. But I think it's like, I think it's also getting very nitpicky to say that. Like he hasn't really done anything that's I've been like, oh, Pascal shouldn't be doing this. I think he's played one of the most just calm, cool, collected games thus far. And that's why people see him as a threat on top of being as like a returnee.
I just think because he is a figurehead, it's a position where you do not have the leniency to not be playing the hardest. I think that once you have the target on you, you can't undo it. It's now play with it. Maybe I'm speaking from experience, maybe not, but I think just in general, you have a target, you've got to play with it, because Pascal, if anything ever happens to that alliance, Pascal is the prize shot. So I think like that's just the thought. So okay, we the piggy goes. Let's talk about Love Island really quick. Let's go into that before we really dive into the cassava. So
I have so many questions because where did this like hickey conversation come from? Right?
That's what I was
Where did that
confused
come
also.
from? Because
Okay.
that's what spiraled this whole thing into being a hookup, into being like all like. I don't know
Clearly,
where that came
clearly
from.
she had one and showed Sean. Well, like,
So
No?
we obviously, it was expressed that they had hung out many times overnight. We could let our imaginations go wild. To hear this episode just full, yeah, no, we hooked up. Yeah, here's my hickey. It was like, what the fuck? let's
Which
talk
also
about
comes up once when Sean tells Lily that they hooked up. He says she showed me her hickey, but that's not seen in their conversation. That doesn't come up in his conversation with Andy when she's in the closet. Like, my question is, Sean, I think you're in the fucking chat. Was that real?
I don't think they recorded that part. I don't think they recorded the part where she talks about we hooked up. If I had to, or if I'm going to be even more fair, if I saw that in the footage, I'm not putting it in there. I'm not putting this person's business on blast like that. Obviously, it does have to come on.
The whole rest
later.
of it is out there.
Yeah, but it's like someone talking about it.
It's all out there anyway.
They're dancing around it though. They just continue to dance around it, which I think is what Andrews is saying. Like they're just not going to like tell you XYZ happened.
Right. I think, to be fair, we're talking about college students talking about Sean. We believe this. Look, what I will say is, as a person who's edited, as a producer, these things happen. I would also err on the side of not showing a person saying I hooked up, but having, because it'll come up later, someone saying they did this. Because at that point, it's he said, she said. And frankly, it's really not our business what they did. What's important is that something happened and it's verifiable that it did, and they're talking about it. That's what matters. So I was surprised to hear it. I wasn't surprised it happened. You don't stay with someone all night just to hang out.
You know, I kind of believed it at first. I was like, that's kind of wholesome. They played Minecraft or whatever.
With Andy and Chloe, Andy was saying, I'm in love with this woman. We have an alliance together. And Chloe, who, get it, you know what I mean? Like, but anyways, the Sean and Chloe of it all is such an interesting dynamic because it starts with her trying to break up Lily. What? And then it turns to friends? Let's talk about, what is this? How are we all feeling about this?
Sean and Andy are my ship. Like, I think they have the most chemistry, is what I've been seeing this episode, and that's the relationship I'm supporting and I want.
That's a toxic relationship.
No, we're silly fans in this chat, Sean and Lily.
No, Sean and Andy. And I'm sure Sean would agree.
I think it's just so interesting that Chloe really is just such a magnetic personality that, like, her and Sean, it really goes from I'm trying to break them up to we're best friends and I'm going to tell you this secret. And, like, I think that's absolutely why everyone just fucking trusts Chloe, because she will be so honest with you. That was, of course, the worst thing you could do, because Sean, I think, rightly tells Lily, which, of course, will only get back to everyone because Lily hates Chloe. Lily, Sean, Chloe, and Andy are every episode changing everything they feel about other people, like truly 180. It's last episode, Chloe, I fucking hate Lily, and then also, but I've got to protect her, and then this episode being like, we got to get rid of her, but then also, Sean, I'm going to tell you everything. It's so.
I think what attracts people to Chloe is that she is just such pure, like, human. Like, she's talking to you on a human level in every conversation, which is why these things are getting so complicated, right? Which is why which is why Sean feels so hurt by her lying to him, which is why, like, all of this is happening because she is genuinely, and she said it, she's in this to make these connections. She's in this to make these friendships. Like, that's why she's here. And she's doing that. Everybody's talking about how much they love Chloe, like how much they love hanging out with her. Whether it's like fucking Donovan, who has the personality of a wall. Like, I don't know. So,
whoa! Don't do that about Donovan.
But it was in 1 second last episode, and he's like, I don't know, he's fine. He's not.
I think of all the cast, you cannot say Donovan is the wall character.
He's up there, but like she's making friends with everybody, and I think that does complicate things. Obviously, like it obviously, her and Andy have this whole conversation of like, should we stop seeing each other outside of the game? And like obviously that was a no, but it's like you have to. I think it's an interesting point of like, do you have to make that line? And Chloe's towing that line of like, what is personal, what is Survivor? And it's a hard line to walk, especially in college Survivor, when you're doing this throughout your real life. Like, you're not on an island, you're not secluded from everything, you're not separate from the rest of the world, you're not separated from your life. This is your life, and you're doing it during your life, and you're here to make friends. And I think that this is like, she is just the perfect picture of like, yeah, this is College Survivor. This is real.
Chloe is my favorite College Survivor character of all time, and I want her on every single season. Same with Andy and Sean and Lily. But Chloe takes the cake because she is just so funny, chaotic, like everything that you want on screen. And I think that's also what makes her like not a bad ally, truly. Like she will just say whatever she's feeling in that specific moment. And I think there's very little like intention behind what she's doing, but it has big consequences, right? Like she's not picking one or two people to put all of her trust in. She's kind of whoever she's speaking to in that moment. All she's just talking to a friend, and it's like, I'm just going to tell you stuff. And that isn't what you want in an ally. A friend, like 100%. I'm sure she is fantastic to hang out with and so fun. But in this game, I think people need to be careful what they tell her, because it's so clear at this point that she will just tell whoever she's talking to in that moment, like whatever information comes up, which is dangerous.
If I have a hickey, I'm going to kiki to my best friends about it. I'm not going to like these other allies in the game. And that's where I just get confused, because I agree. Like, I think she is so genuine, and she goes into every conversation being like, I just want to get to know you. But then that leads to her oversharing. And I think she believes it in the moment. But then she goes to the next person, and then she's like, okay, I'm now going to have this genuine connection. Now I'm going to be with them in the moment. And she just keeps going boom, 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 boom. And it's still working for her. So like props to her, but I hope it comes crashing down in like a fun way. But I do appreciate that we do have somebody that, like you said, Erin, is genuine about the relationships, because I do think that sums up the difference between College Survivor and like real Survivor. Is like, you're also at a transformative time of your life where you are going to make friends and all these like great connections.
Can I tell you also who I think had the craziest reaction to this? And that is Courtney.
Yes.
Which, like, I understand you're upset that your number one ally didn't tell you something. But, girl, this is like your dream, because he's still your number one ally. He's still doing everything for you. And now you don't have to worry about him having a crush on you anymore. Like, I think she should be thrilled, personally.
No, Andy's like spilling all of their shit to Chloe. Why?
Well, I think she already knew that he was like talking to her on a game level.
I don't think she knew.
I think she was just, I think she was literally just upset that he didn't tell her that they were hooking up. But like, she knew everything that they were talking about game wise.
I would be a little concerned if I were Courtney.
Yeah, I also probably would be.
I think a little concerned, but like, I think a little concerned, sure, but I think the rage that she had and like the Chloe hate train she was on for that was crazy. Because it's like, why don't you take that and be like, okay, yes, so he didn't tell me something, that sucks. And like, maybe I'm a little sus of Andy now, but be like, oh, this is somebody from the other tribe that I know has a lot of power that my ally is really close with. That should be a positive. And also, now I don't need to worry about him asking me on dates. I think that's a win-win for Courtney.
I think it's like the extrapolation of they're hooking up, therefore it's a threat to the information. I think it is the complete blending of that personal to the game. And I think it's just interesting to contrast that with the fact that like Andy did have such a big crush on Courtney, and to see her reacting so heavily to the fact he's hooking up with another player, it's not a romantic feeling from Courtney, but it's interesting that is the reason she's so concerned. Because I do think, in the same way that you're talking about, this isn't like you have your real life outside of the game. I wouldn't necessarily think, especially in college, that someone hooking up with another player means that they're going to be like the most tight of allies. And unfortunately, I think more likely than not, hooking up with someone is a recipe for they're going to be against each other. Just because, well, I don't need to explain it. You get it.
I think Andy just has to tell Courtney, like, hey, I haven't told her about the idol. Like, she doesn't know about that. I'm not telling her everything, and hopefully everything would be fine.
I think Andy needs to have a little sit down with his girlies and say, in the same way that Chloe does it with Sean, like, by the way, I'm hooking up with Chloe. I think it is more of the like, why isn't he telling me even this? Like, if it doesn't matter. But it was funny to see like such a big reaction from Courtney when it's like, Courtney, this is a godsend.
Yes, exactly.
It would only get worse.
Exactly.
But I think she also doesn't like Chloe for all the Lily of it, right? Like, she was kind of like doing the whole thing with Sean and to like get at Lily, and like Courtney's like buddies with Lily. So I think that was also playing a large factor into. She also didn't really like Chloe from that initially, and this didn't help. But to me, like that actually is a bigger piece of it. Is just that she didn't like when her and Kate are talking and they're kind of like bashing Chloe a little bit. Most of it's centered on the Lily stuff. Honestly, it comes up because of the whole Andy thing, but like most of what they're actually like annoyed about is all the Lily and Sean of it.
I think that
Which
and just like
yeah, go ahead, Ethan.
I was just saying, and Chloe's just so well connected. Like people constantly say, "Oh, Chloe's talking to every single person on the cast. She has all these great relationships." Like I would be nervous if like I knew somebody was like talking to that person, and we weren't talking about it, and like a way being like, "Oh, we should be a little nervous about that."
And I also think it's interesting that Chloe and Andy of it all, because it really is Chloe's perspective. Like from Chloe's perspective, it is so just like we are friends, and like it's not game. Like we're just hooking up. And Andy, the vibe I felt was like Andy knows that, and he doesn't want it to stop because like again he knows it's just like people, but his game brain is going, but this could be bad for my game, which is just frankly crazy pound pills. Like
yes, that was crazy when he said to her, when he was like, "You don't make stupid mistakes." I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "What? You need to shut up. What are you saying?"
No strategy brain. It's really like, girl,
It was
take a breath. What are you
ridiculous.
talking about?
No, literally, I was like, this man is getting turned off by her saying that she felt giddy and was telling her friend about them. Like, I was like, what is happening right now?
Also, her hiding in his closet thing.
That was
It's
What the fuck?
it's all crazy. That's crazy too. It's just like, do you trust her or not?
more than Sean, at least.
But I think that was trusting her, like letting someone listen into a conversation that you're having with somebody. That's like,
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
that
yeah.
is trust.
No, but that happened prior to his big fight with her. Basically, like it's this dichotomy of I trust you as a person, but I also don't trust you, and I'm really worried that you're going to betray me. But it's like, well, if you really felt this way, you wouldn't give her the opportunities you are to have more information to spread it. I think it's like the personal in the game is so interesting to question of someone when it's like you are giving them more game information. If you want it to just be personal, you can make it just personal, but you're not doing that. And so to criticize her on that level, it's like, well, it's a two-way street. You can't hook up alone.
I mean, yeah, the core of it is like Andy does want it to be both personal and help his game. And Chloe is there basically just like kind of for personal and not really thinking about game. And that is the entirety of the issue, which is hilarious to watch.
They are a mess. And this episode was like a real Chloe hate train. And yet, I really don't think it's going to matter that much. Like, I think she's still fine with Andy. I think more people know that she's doing all this, but like, it's not going to hurt her on Kyoshi right now. And frankly, she's not the bigger threat come merge because I still think it's passable. But it's funny.
It's great TV.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge. Okay, I want to bring this up. I think in this scenario where it's like you do not want Lily or Donovan to go home, throwing the challenge is absolutely the right call. Challenges are a resource to use, and if you can get away with doing it to get out someone you're against, it's a great move.
100%.
This was a very poor use of it, but this is my opinion, completely think right call to throw it. They threw it horribly, but I think it's a great great idea.
Yeah.
My single issue, I agree with that, but honestly, my single issue is like because you have such chaotic people on this tribe, you've already voted out Ella. It's not like you've just picked them off. Like, if your plan is to pick them off, you would have already been doing that. Which, like, sure, they came back and were like, that's the plan. But like, knowing the people on this tribe, if you are someone like a Sean or a Daniela, obviously Daniela wasn't really in on this, but if you were a Sean, like, are you not hesitating a little bit to be like, Andy's nuts? Like, I understand he says he's going to do this right now, but like, when has he ever followed through on a plan like all the way from here until Tribal? And that would be my reservation, is not that it wasn't like the right move, but like, will this actually even happen if we throw this challenge? And then that's exactly what happens. It just all blows up. And then Sean's probably sitting there like, well, why did I throw it then?
I think it was less to pick them off, like to pick off the Kiyoshis, than it was to save Lily and Donovan, which was the main goal of it and which was what they got out of it. Like, I see what you're saying, and like Sean shouldn't feel comfortable, but I think given the concussion, which I'm giving you the concussion, and given just Sean's like, he's been very malleable to whatever Andy says. Andy said to his face, I'm the villain, you're the hero. That's how it is. He said to Sean's face, I separated you and Lily on purpose. I did that to cut you down. He said so many things to Sean's face that he should not. He said, I think this episode, he said, I use my alliances based on value, not on loyalty. To his face. And Sean just eats all of this up. And he says, yes, you're right, Andy. And you'll keep me around, which is great. So these people, like Sean, Courtney, Andy, felt comfortable. Felt like they weren't going home. Which Sean should not feel like that. I agree. But he does.
No, I think Ethan's right. I think Andy and Sean are kind of a couple because Andy absolutely could cut Sean anytime he wants, but literally is like, you're staying around, King. We're besties.
I think relationship.
No, literally, it is.
No,
I think Andy is like Sean is like Andy's little like toy. He's just playing with, and he's like hee hee. He's like, I'm gonna make you mad, and then I'm gonna keep you around, and then I'm gonna make you love me again, and then I'm gonna make you mad again.
I feel for Sean so bad on the season. I feel like he and Lily were honestly so, and I'll even throw Daniela in there, like kind of the very reasonable people on that tribe. And you have Andy, who's kind of mostly in control of it, and is just causing chaos left and right. And Sean at every turn is trying to like kind of explain like, okay, we need to do this because it makes the most sense for us. And then Andy's like, well, then we're not doing that. Is essentially how I feel like the game has played out.
But then here's the thing, is that Sean gets convinced of whatever Andy is saying. Like, if Sean stood on business, for sure. And I think that he has had good reasoning. He's also had really bad reasoning. But I think the fact that he keeps falling for it is not a good look.
But what do you want him to do? His other option is
better.
His other option is go flip and work with CJ and Kate and be on the bottom of the whole Kiyoshi stuff. And it's like in his brain, he's like, Cassava should stick together. There's this big group on Kiyoshi. He understands Taylor and Kate are on the bottom. We need to pull them in. We need to go after CJ. We need to go after like the power people on Kiyoshi. He's making all the right reads. And he's literally just being like, Andy, we need to do this. And Andy just refuses at every turn to do the reasonable thing that Sean is suggesting.
I mean, I think the power of it all lies with Courtney, who is a more reasonable player. But I think that no, go ahead. You're disagreeing with me, Cooper?
Andy's more unreasonable, but Courtney has also so much blame in this because also every episode
That's
happens
what I'm saying.
is that Andy comes to her and says, hey, we have the numbers, we're doing this. And Courtney says, okay. But Courtney is the number. It's not like Andy always leads with, we have the numbers when talking to Courtney. And it's like, no, Courtney, you are the number. Just say no. Just say no. And she has not done that once.
I love Courtney because I feel like she's really going to like make it unscathed out of all of this. Like it's going to kind of fall back on Andy each time. And I think that actually helps her a lot. That's what I love about Courtney. And she like clocked it this episode when she was like, yeah, I don't know why people are giving Andy all the credit. And I was like, okay, period, queen. Like you're slaying also. Courtney, if you have one fan, it's me.
When we're talking about like why is Sean going along with this? Why is Courtney going along with it? Like Courtney she is the one in control of literally everything. Andy is the fly who's like, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this, and she's the one who's determining it. Like you said, she's the number. So it is like Andy's going to do something crazy and annoying and stupid. Courtney doesn't have to, but she chooses to do. Yeah, okay. Relax, Sean.
Sean gets one person out here to defend him.
You guys have been defending Sean on these?
He didn't even vote for Daniela this time. They left Sean out, which
That's
again,
true.
It's like Courtney should know better than to leave Sean out. You want to work with Lily.
The person they just threw the challenge with.
Yeah, that was a bad move.
Well,
That
that's
was a
leverage on them. Like that's why I was so confused because I was like, Sean knows, and we saw it in the promo. But like Sean's gonna go around and tell everybody now. Like it's kind of crazy, like the lengths these people are going to. So that was the one thing where I was like, I don't even know why they didn't even try to clue Sean in, because what was Sean gonna really do? Like,
yeah, I mean, the whole thing was like every time it was Daniela's name out there, it was, well, Courtney wouldn't do Daniela. And every time before now, that was the reason that Daniela wasn't going home. Even this episode, when Kate threw out Daniela's name, it was Courtney's not going to do that. But then suddenly Andy wants to do it. And so now Courtney will do it.
Well, so it's like they throw the challenge to weaken Pascal. And even on the logic that Daniela is close to Pascal, the idea that you are looking at Daniela and CJ and choosing to keep CJ it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for multiple reasons. Number one, CJ is not a good ally. Like, he's not giving you reasons.
He hasn't even said he's going to be loyal to them or anything. Every pitch is, I just want to make it to merch. And I'm like, that's like, his pitches are so bad. It frustrates me so much.
His pitch now is like, I'm going to pretty much be a mole for you on the other side. Which I think was a fair pitch. And I think like, that's why I was like, CJ actually finally did something. And I think that was a good
just to Andy. Like, that was until like, it was to benefit Andy. And I was going crazy. Because like, to me, Daniela is like, she was such a like so loyal to Cassava. Like she was such an old school player. Where
she wanted to keep Ella.
Yeah. They talked about how anybody who wasn't Cassava was a heretic. Like, why get rid of her? Like
that. Note to anyone who ever plays any game like this, plays Survivor. Anyone who says they're going to be a mole is a fucking liar. They're going to go back to their allies.
They're going to be a mole against you.
They're telling you who they're with. Yeah, they're telling you who they're with. And they're saying, I'm going to go back there and I'm going to keep you safe, which maybe they will for a little bit, as long as it benefits them. But they're telling you who their priority is.
And you know what's better than someone keeping you safe? Absolutely kneecapping the person that could get rid of you, and then they can't get rid of you. You know what's going to keep me safe? Having the power. So I think it's so funny to be like, well, CJ will be a useful ally. You know who's a more useful ally? The person you have a relationship with.
Can I say what is interesting, though? Is that we did see Daniela this episode clocking Andy and saying, like, I do think he's dangerous. I do think that, I'm done with him shortly, pretty much. So I think she was close to jumping ship at a merge, if I'm being honest. I'm not saying, and they had no reason to know this. I'm not saying this was a good move by any means, but she, I think, was close to jumping ship as well.
I think Daniela was going to stick the course with Cassava. I think she was getting fed up with Andy's like chaos, but I think when like push comes to shove, she was going to stick the course with it. And
I don't know. If you talk to Pascal, he's just as charming.
I think it's like she was not going to be loyal to Andy over like a Courtney or a Sean. And I think that's where it's like, if I were Courtney, I would see that gun to my head. If I'm going to choose between Daniela and CJ, the idea that I would choose CJ doesn't make a lick of sense. Because again, Kate's trying. CJ's pitches are bad, and frankly, you don't want to work with Pascal. Why would CJ be a good ally?
But the whole reason they end up doing this, like CJ pitches it, and even Daniela, when she's trying to save CJ, is pitching this of like, no, save CJ because then Pascal will be indebted to you and he's going to have all the power, which is a horrible reasoning to begin with, to be like, okay, the person in power, I need to suck up to them instead of trying to like cut them off. But if you're going to do that, then why Daniela? Of course. If they were going to do something this episode, it should have just been Sean, right? Like, if you really don't want to vote CJ and you want to go the Pascal route, then like you shouldn't be voting out Pascal's other ally in Daniela. You should be continuing to vote out like the younger, like that whole group of Cassava is essentially like who they've now been picking off. They picked off Sammy, they picked off Ella. If you want to keep going that route, just pick off Sean, and then you've chosen your side on Cassava and you're trying to work your way in with Pascal and crew. I don't even think that's a good option, but at least it makes more sense than like flipping and flopping back and forth between like Jason and Sammy and Ella, and now you're voting out Daniela, and now you've pissed off everyone on old Cassava. Like,
but every time he's done that, he's been able to get back in good with Sean. He's been able to smooth
Sean doesn't have any
things
other options. What do you want Sean to do?
Kiss him.
Sean's just a boy.
Not have a concussion.
Look, Sean is kind of fucked because it's also like, if he tries to pull a move, he has to work. Kate would do it. That's the thing about Kate. It's like, Kate's someone that they should cut because Kate is just like Taylor, thinking about the game and going, well, I'm not going to do this. And again, it's like, Kate is unfortunately, I think, is probably the most like looking at everything happening and going, what the hell?
Yeah,
Sure.
100%.
I'll vote at Ella. I'll vote at Daniela. And going like, I'm not a benefit to you. I'm not going to work with Pascal. It's just, it really is like, it's just funny because I just view the way that Andy is playing as so needlessly just insane. And it's like, it just doesn't really seem like it's going to benefit you to do any of this. And again, CJ!
I was hoping, and I know why she probably didn't, but like I was hoping Kate would clue Sean into something because like I just want that alliance to work so badly of like Kate, Taylor, Sean, and Lily that I was like, oh no, because it's like you're putting your faith now, and I get why because she's on the bottom like in CJ, but like you don't have a good relationship with CJ except for like these circumstances. So
I think unfortunately Kate feels like CJ might be her closest ally right now.
probably yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, imagine.
I
Poor
think
Kate.
give it a couple rounds into the merge, and I think Kate will see the light of kind of the bottom of both of those working together. And I think once she's back with Taylor, I think they'll be able to kind of talk it out, talk through the dynamics of the game. But right now, she's in survival mode. Like it's hard to blame her
100%.
for
Oh
them.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
feel Kate.
I don't blame her at all. This is
And
just
her
my
being like,
weakness.
I guess, okay.
Well,
And I think her and Sean did have a very good conversation about being on the bottoms of both of their tribes. And I think Taylor and Lily are doing the same. So I do see the four of them potentially still coming together.
Here's a question, and I think this could happen. Next episode, they're still in their swap tribes, realistically. Do we think that Sean can get Kate and CJ to go against Andy and Courtney? I think Kate is a yes, as long as they have a third number. Do we think that CJ is enough of a player to do that, or do you think CJ's going to go, well, they stuck their neck out for me, and I'll work with Courtney and Andy?
I think CJ will default to the easy option. I think that's kind of his MO. But if he ends up in the middle of it, then maybe he makes a different situation. Like maybe he does something different. But only if he very clearly gets in the middle and you have Sean and Andy or somebody like so publicly going after each other. But other than that, I would kind of default to like, these are the people that I've now voted with twice. Like, I'm just going to stay the course and just vote Sean. Because for them, that's just the easiest thing to get back to all the Kyoshi people.
I think CJ wants to be a player. I think at the end of the day, that's what he wants. And I think, yes. And I think if given the opportunity and if he recognizes that like, oh, this is a power dynamic that might rival the power dynamic that I think I have with Pascal, that is something that I would want to take a shot at. Like, if you're like, if these are the two big power players going into merge, or like Andy and Pascal, he just is going to weigh, like, do I want them both there to duke it out together, or do I want to cut one of them before we both get there? I think that's the big question.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing is you hear him being like, yes, Pascal wants to come after Sean. I want to come after Sean. Like, and you hear him talking to Andy, and he's like mentioning like some cross-tribe alliance stuff. So I just feel like he is so much more strategically already involved with Andy. It would be very hard for him to like do a whole 180 on it. I don't see that happening on this tribe, but maybe he's just so pissed off by Andy throwing the challenge. Who knows?
I did want to comment on that too, of him saying to Pascal being like, well, Andy being like, well, did Pascal want Sean out? And him being like, well, yeah. But it's like, okay, so you won't let Pascal talk to Sean because you guys don't want to appear too close, but you'll tell Andy that Pascal wanted Sean out because obviously you know that. Like, whatever.
I also think, I do think there is actually some argument to like the Sean and Andy of it all, because like, it is weird that Andy wants to keep Sean around and I think isn't jumping on those opportunities to get rid of Sean when he'll do it for Daniela, who he previously said is a great shield for him and is and was, and now he doesn't have that. So it's like there must be some reason he wants to keep around Sean, and it's just not really clear why, because it's not that they trust each other, and it's not that Sean's like a particularly good ally for Andy because he has been betrayed so many times. I think they're in love. I think that's what I'm going with.
Well, I mean, he wasn't in his conversation with Courtney when they were pretty much deciding what the vote was going to be, right? He wasn't the one that said, I don't want to do Sean. That was Courtney. Courtney said she didn't want to do Sean. She took his name off the table. So I wonder if he was kind of entertaining that if Courtney didn't take it off the table.
I think that if Andy wanted to do something, he could do it. Like, I don't think that this is.
I agree with that, but I do think that between like, I think when they were circular logicking their way to the final vote, I think that Sean was an option in his mind. He just didn't know for sure what he wanted to do. He just wanted to do something dramatic. And that could have been Sean. But Courtney took it off the table.
I think Ethan's just right that they're in love. And that's where I'll go.
I think that's also true.
Well, how do we feel about, like, Sean's going to throw out the Andy through the challenge? Do we think that'll really radically change things? If you were in a CJ or Kate's shoes, you know you were on the bottom of this tribe and they threw the challenge, would you feel a certain way about it, or would it not change the loyalty you feel? Because ultimately they didn't vote for you.
I was going to say, yeah, I didn't go home. So at the end of the day, they didn't throw the challenge to get me out. So why am I upset?
I think it depends on how they value the show and just throwing challenges. Like, I feel like I could see CJ getting pissed about it a lot. But I want to see how, like, Andy and Sean try to reconcile it and see if Andy tries to be like, okay, we'll get out CJ this round. And if Sean's going to go to CJ and say that and how that's going to play. But I don't really know, because who knows what Andy's going to do tomorrow.
You know what I love about CJ is that he always says in a confessional, he's like, I'm going to be so pissed if this happens, or I'm going to be so pissed if this is real. I've yet to see him actually pissed. Like, get mad, do something.
Maybe we will when he finds out they threw the challenge.
I hope so. I can imagine Kate being, well, because didn't they both, like, stormed off from that challenge because they were so close. Like, Kate was in tears, I remember, and, like, CJ was like, I can imagine being pissed. Like, these fuckers really threw the challenge because they wanted me out originally, and yes, they saved me, but they did this with the intent of me going home.
I cannot believe that they didn't immediately think, oh, he just threw that challenge. That they I can't believe they had to be told that they thought that they thought he got too tired and slipped. It's like, you are 5 feet away from winning the challenge and he drops it and throws out somebody's shoulder. Like, yeah, how does that not blatantly
it just looks so stupid that it was believable.
Girl, it's also like, if you're throwing the challenge, this is the easiest challenge to throw.
Literally.
How do you almost win it?
Literally.
Like, to me, I was shocked they almost won it. I went, you're throwing it. Like, just go slow.
Literally.
Simply run slower. They did. It was the worst of everything, truly. They could have made it so not obvious. They could have just run slower or dropped earlier or literally anything else than running up to the other team and Andy just, like, throwing the thing everywhere.
Yeah.
I would have been immediately like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Like,
you can, even if your hand is slipping, you can hold on for 5 more feet. Like, you can.
Or, like, go off the way that your hand is instead of, like, going out in front of the whole thing and derailing the
tripping your whole tribe, throwing a cinder block at Kate's shoulder.
Like, what?
It truly is just like, this is the easiest challenge to throw, and you threw it so badly. Like, ridiculous. Girl, it's a running challenge. Run slow and exhaust yourselves. You will lose. Eventually, the goal is get everyone else on your tribe to start dropping so then you can just lose. If either of them are really shocked that Andy threw it, they've got to have more faith in their own instincts. Like, girl, my hand slipped. Yeah.
When Kate was like, yeah, I don't think he was trying to switch hands, but I do think he just dropped it. I was like, what do you mean? You're so close, Kate. You're so close.
Do we think Andy is going to stick with this side, or do we think Andy is going to flip again and get rid of CJ or Kate?
Does anyone have a coin? I'm looking for a coin. That's about how I feel with most of his decisions. I think he is actually making most of these decisions with a coin. Like, truly, I couldn't tell you. Episode to episode, it changes. Whatever. You could say whatever you want. In the end, it's just a coin flip.
I think he does whatever he thinks is funniest and whatever he can get the most like, I feel like he's getting like Schadenfreude with Sean. Like, he's just reveling in Sean. It's getting pleasure from somebody else's pain. And I think he's just doing that to Sean over and over. So whatever that makes that happen, I think is what he's going to do.
I think Courtney's going to hopefully have some sway. Like, I think if she puts her foot down on Sean, then maybe. But that's because I just believe in Courtney's power.
I mean, but at this point, why would she? Because now Sean's going to be mad at her.
That's true. Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like I don't want Sean or Lily or Kate or Taylor to leave, but I just don't see a world where one of them isn't the next person out. If I had it my way, I would love to see a CJ go. I would love to see, frankly, Donovan could also go. But not because he's a wall. Because I don't like beards. No. I do think I'd like to see Alejandro or CJ leave next, just because it's been too many women in a row. We need more men out. But also they're just going to give the least step merge. I think this season has been fantastic, but this was the episode that made me go, what fucking choice did you make? Like
throughout the entire episode.
Andy really is living up to the JS protege of it all. Just really nonsense and somehow getting your way, and it being like, but for what? For why?
I think when Andy said,
made way more sense.
When Andy said, I don't want people to trust me, I want people to respect me, I think I was like, yeah, that summed it up. I think truly that summed it up. But also, I don't know why people respect him. I don't.
Somehow he's getting everything he wants. I think nobody is going to trust him very shortly, and everybody's going to be like, well, he's playing a good game. I don't know why they're saying that, but like they're saying it. They respect him, but they don't trust him.
As soon as when he said that in his confessional, I was like, that makes that makes everything about him make so much more sense.
Yeah, but who needs trust when you have the votes? What do we think? Okay, winner picks. I want to hear this. Ethan, who do you think is winning this season?
Courtney.
Cooper, who do you think is going to win?
Andrews, you're going to hate me for this, but I think CJ is winning this season.
That's insane. That's insane.
Oh,
that's the most.
That's a crazy answer.
I literally who here could possibly piss me off?
I would have put Ella over him. I would put Ella over him. High
I will give you this reason.
Crazy.
There still is a very strong 5 of Kiyoshi that I think will have the numbers at merge. I just don't see the other people like being able to come together. And within that,
Jenny?
I think you have Alejandro and Jenny who aren't doing much, to be honest. I don't see them as like winner.
Alejandro's DJing.
Jenny's mothering.
Pascal's too big of a threat. He's going to be the first to go when that group does kind of get attacked. And I think Chloe is too chaotic and will eventually also kind of fall off. And I think CJ is just kind of the most like there, but also insulated, and now has connections with this whole new swap tribe who has Andy and Courtney who've gone out of their way now twice to like save him. So he is connected at this point in terms of people who he has voted with and trusts. And I don't see him like being a target once the merge comes along. So I think he's going to be in a really good spot.
And I don't disagree with that. I could see him getting to the final 3. Here's my one critique of that. I could not imagine a world where he is the best speaker in any iteration of a final 3. And frankly, I do think being able to answer speeches is a big part of how you can win a college Survivor. And like, I think he could definitely play a game to get there. I just think against nearly anyone, I think the only circumstance in which CJ wins, where I feel pretty confident, it would be him, Jenny, and Alejandro. And even then, Jenny is so likable.
You forget jury advocates, though. He's going to have Pascal on the jury. Can I be honest with you? Why do I feel like Pascal would go for Jenny?
Pascal would go for
because
Jenny.
Pascal has taste.
CJ's winning this season, Anders. You heard it here first.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm trying to imagine this season being so good and then CJ wins. Like, it really is a curse sometimes. Like, a fantastic season has a real busted winner. It's very like Terry in Terrible Trials.
CJ is way better than Terry.
Well,
way better?
Terry's closer to Alejandro than he is to CJ.
I guess that's true.
That is true.
Like,
come on.
Look, no offense to CJ. It's just like with so much star quality in this season, he's just not really giving.
I'm not saying he's the most entertaining like person on the season.
He's not even close. He's not even the most strategic. He's doing nothing actively. Actively doing nothing, which is hard to do.
Regardless, I think he's in the best position.
Oh.
Crazy.
That's
Anyway.
not true. I think only in the grand scheme of I think even on his tribe he's not in that good of a position.
I think Cooper's riding also on this solid core 5 of Kyoshi, which Chloe is in, which is not going to last because
And
Chloe
also
is
includes
in it.
Alejandro.
Okay, Alejandra's
Alejandro's probably the most stable ally.
I mean, yes, Alejandro is a solid ally for that.
Alejandro's probably the most loyal ally on this season right now.
Yeah.
Alejandro is
my number one ally every season. I'll take it.
No, literally.
God. No. But no. Is there anything from this episode we didn't talk about?
Ella.
Oh God.
Who?
In this episode, Ethan.
Jake.
What? Where's Jake? No, that's a man who could win. Could you imagine a final title from Jake?
I would love to. If only.
Jake, Sammy,
He's like that
Alejandro
in real life.
next season.
Oh my God! A Jake, Sammy, Alejandro final 3. Somehow, I think Jake could win it.
Oh yes. I mean, Sammy puts his foot in his mouth a million times.
My money's on
Alejandro's too
Sammy.
busy DJing.
Honestly, I'm putting my money on Alejandro.
I don't support Sammy.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Well, what an incredible episode. So much drama. And I think the result really just left me with a lot of I need to know what happens next. And I need Courtney and Andy to know I hate it. I hate everything about their move. Oh, here's a question from Sean. What are our thoughts on Chloe Closet move?
Weird way to phrase it, Sean.
I think any player who can hide in the closet to get information, sure. I think it's deranged, but
yeah. I mean, it's listening in on a phone call, but crazier.
But stupider.
But yeah. I think it was silly, but I think if two people were going to do it, it sure was them.
I don't have an issue with it. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, it's just crazy this season. It really makes you go, so now I need to watch out for my phone calls being just broadcast to other people. And now I need to be worried if you go to your room, there's someone in your closet. Am I in a horror movie? Can you imagine you're in the closet and then you sneeze? You are talking to someone and you hear someone sneeze in the closet. What do you do?
I run. That's so scary. Honestly. Well, yeah.
I mean, if they sneezed, I would be like, did you know there's someone in your closet?
Does Andy at that point also have to pretend to freak out and run out of the room and be like, oh my God, who's in my closet?
Or does he own up to it right away? That's a good question. Which feels better?
I mean, one makes Chloe seem like she's stalking him, and one is, I'm trying to trick you.
Yeah.
So for Andy, he probably would be like, what are you doing in my closet, Chloe?
Exactly.
Well,
Andy is not going down with the ship, that's for sure.
No, absolutely. Andy will jump off that ship before it even hits the iceberg. He's getting off the second.
Andy said women and children? No, me.
What about women and children and Andy?
Hey, when you say for the women and children, can you say for the women and children and Andy, please?
Well, I think that about does it for us. Incredible episode. Ethan, Cooper, thank you guys for joining me, and all of your great thoughts, and also your bad thoughts. We need to hear it. For everyone watching, episode 7, what comes next? Don't worry, you'll find out January 5th. That's right, we're going on a little bit of a vacation. Enjoy the holidays. Because here at Survivor Maryland, we believe in happy holidays. There is a war on Christmas here.
Speaking of holidays, real quick, I do want to plug something. Cooper and I are both on it. It's called Holiday Reality Games. It's the YouTube channel and the Instagram. We played a little game called Cookies for Santa. So you can catch us and JS on a fun little holiday special Survivor-ish game. So YouTube channel is Holiday Reality Games, and that's the Instagram as well.
You were both in it?
Yeah. It premieres it's going to come out in daily episodes starting on the 18th until Christmas, I think, or the day before. So yeah, check it out. Yes.
The little bite-sized episodes. So I
Yeah.
think they're like 15, 20 minutes from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow, I don't know who would ever cast you both together. That's a mistake. Talk about a built-in final two.
And maybe we do make final two. A final
Maybe
three
we
with
do.
JS.
Oh. Well, if I know anything about Erin making it to the finals, she will lose.
Girl, there was one time.
And how many times have you won? No.
Yeah.
Well,
Anderson, not with me playing.
not with me. Not with me. Not when I could see it. I know no one here wins when I'm there. No matter what I say, do, or vote. Anyways, can't wait to have some real winners on next time. So remember, episode 7, January 5th. Everyone have a wonderful winter and new year. And if you are Andy or Courtney and you're seeing this, shame on you to get rid of Daniela. How dare you? For CJ? Boo! All right. Bye!